Can you be confident in any situation? In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to step into your true power starting today. My first tip is to ask yourself, what would a confident person do in this situation? Imagine a scenario where you want to boost your self-confidence, but you're not quite sure how to do that. You want to react in the best way possible. Now I want you to ask yourself one simple question. What would a confident person do in this situation? When we lack self-confidence, the easiest way to learn is to think of somebody who already has it. What would they do in this situation? How would they behave? How would they react? Confident people behave differently towards others because they treat themselves way better than most people do. They own up to their mistakes, forgive themselves, and move on. They don't beat themselves up over things from the past and don't let old limiting beliefs hold them back. So I want you to think of someone who exudes confidence. Try to embody their posture, their mannerisms, the way they present themselves. Now, I want you to adapt them to yourself. You can take bits and pieces from different role models until you feel confident in your own skin. I go way more in depth on this topic in my free masterclass called 3 Confidence Secrets Every Woman Needs to Know. So if you want to register now, click the first link in the description box below or head over to coachsimona.com/masterclass. My second tip on how to be confident in any situation is to visualize your best possible self. This exercise is similar to the first one, but now I want you to imagine how your future self would look like. The one who's confident, put together, and has no issues showing up unapologetically. What would this version of you look like? How would you behave? What would you do? How would you carry yourself? Now try the approach of embodying your best self every single time you're in a situation where you don't feel as confident as you'd like to be. Our brains are smart, and they can adapt to our changed thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. Acting confidently would eventually lead to genuine confidence, as your brain will see these patterns with the help of neuroplasticity. One important thing to note here is that by acting like your best possible self, you will not only react in a more confident and constructive way when interacting with the world, but you will also get better reactions and positive feedback from the people around you. Which brings me to my next point, which is to prepare and practice. Self-confidence has a lot to do with believing in your own skills and abilities and trusting yourself to do the right thing. So the more you practice for a certain situation, the more confident you're gonna feel. For example, if you lack self-confidence when it comes to an upcoming job interview, you can familiarize yourself with the details of the situation. Learn more about the company, practice a few common interview questions, and figure out what you're gonna wear in advance, so you don't need to fuss around in the last minute. Or let's say you don't feel confident when it comes to showing up online. You have imposter syndrome, meaning you feel like a fraud, like you don't have enough expertise and you don't deserve an audience. A great way to prepare is to have high standards for the things you put out into the world, so you feel proud of them, while at the same time accept that not everybody's gonna like you, and that's okay. The thing about true confidence is that it's completely unrelated to other people's opinions of you. It always comes from the inside. Now, sometimes it might be hard to understand what could be holding you back when it comes to not feeling confident. So it's helpful to get to know yourself better. I've created a free journaling worksheet that will help you do just that by learning how to integrate your shadow. If you want to download it, just click the link in the description box below or head over to coachsimona.com/shadow. My next tip is to improve your nonverbal communication. When you communicate, your body language and your tone of voice are way more important than the words you're saying. So what does this mean in terms of your body language? How would a confident person behave? Have an open, relaxed posture. If you're standing, make sure that your hands are at the side of your body. You may also be casually holding a drink, or if you're sitting, your hands should be on the table or relaxed on the sides of the chair. When you explain something, open your hands. Don't be afraid to take up space and affirm the words that are the most important in the sentence. Nodding can also be helpful if you want to encourage the other person to keep talking and establish a connection. Now let's spend a few seconds discussing your voice. When we talk a lot, we're bound to say things that we shouldn't say and share information that's too personal. We sometimes tend to fill in blank spaces with or other sounds like that. So how can you avoid it? Aim to speak slowly, make pauses, choose your words carefully, pronounce them well, and smile. Have you noticed that when you talk to someone, even on the phone, you can sense when they're smiling? Smiling is contagious. It's an amazing way to connect with others. And it also makes you feel less nervous and use less filler words. Also, if you're trying to finish a sentence, don't make it sound like you're asking a question. That shows lack of confidence and insecurity. Now let's talk about your tone of voice. There have been some interesting studies that show that lower speaking voices have more authority and confidence. This doesn't mean you should force yourself to sound more masculine or unnatural. All it means is to speak in your natural tone of voice, but you can avoid the high pitch if you want to appear more confident. My next tip on how to be confident in any situation is to improve your verbal communication. Use less words than necessary. Express yourself in a succinct way, without over-explaining yourself. That shows confidence and gives enough space for the other person to react accordingly. When you're not sure how to respond, take a pause. Don't be too eager to answer immediately. Have a few moments to collect your thoughts and then reply to their request. And I also want to urge you to stop over-apologizing about everything. When you're over-apologizing, you're giving your power away. This doesn't mean that you should never apologize, especially if you've done something wrong. I'm talking about saying sorry for everything, like a default answer. Here are a few ways to catch yourself when you start apologizing for everything. Next time you feel like you're about to over-explain, over-apologize, just say in your mind, stop. Let it be your reminder to pause, take a deep breath, and continue the conversation, as if the internal resistance to apologize didn't happen at all. Now, when it comes to being confident in any situation, there are even more things you can do to help yourself that I share in this video right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in that video.